You're sitting on a rusted oil drum in the middle of a forest that feels like a green cathedral, except the air here smells of wood smoke and old blood. Across from you, a man the world calls a ghost, the Emir of the East, is meticulously peeling an orange with a silver pocket knife. He offers you a slice. He calls you brother. In your pocket, the skin of your thigh is burning from the friction of a microtransmitter that hasn't pulsed in 48 hours. You are currently 300 miles from anyone who knows your real name, and you are surrounded by 200 men who would spend 3 days ending you if they found it out. But that's the middle of the story. Let's go back to the beginning. You get the assignment on a Friday. Not in a sleek office, but in a damp basement in Abuja where the walls bleed saltpeter. Your handler doesn't give you a folder. He gives you a choice. He tells you that Boko Haram has a problem. They have the guns, they have the men, but their fleet of technicals, the mounted gun trucks that are the backbone of their mobility, is rotting. They need a master mechanic, someone who can fix a Toyota Hilux with a coat hanger and sheer willpower. We need you to be that miracle worker, he says. What he doesn't tell you, what the brass never mentions, is that once you go into the sector shadow, you don't just come back when the job is done. You have to carry the weight of what you see until it bends your spine. First, you have to disappear. For 6 months, you live in the margins. You stop using soap that smells like anything. You grow your beard until it's a tangled mat of gray and black. You move to a displacement camp near the border and take up residence in a shack made of scrap metal. You become Musa. Musa is a man who was a sergeant in the Nigerian army until a superior officer stole his wages and left his unit to die in an ambush. Musa is a man who hates the government more than he fears the desert. You spend your days at a roadside tea stall, letting your hands get permanently stained with engine oil and grease. You wait. You listen. You learn the specific dialect of the Kanuri fringes until you can argue about the price of a goat without anyone questioning where you were born. First contact happens on a Tuesday morning. Hilux, caked in so much dust it looks like a ghost, pulls up to your stall. 3 men get out. They don't look like the monsters in the news. They look like tired travelers. One of them, a man with a deep scar that splits his left eyebrow, points at the truck. It dies every 3 miles, he says. Fix it, and I'll pay you in gold. Fail, and I'll pay you in lead. You don't blink. You don't even stand up immediately. You finish your tea, spit into the dust, and walk to the truck. You spend 2 hours in the blazing sun. You find the sand in the fuel line. You find the bypassed sensor that's choking the engine. You fix it using a piece of wire from a discarded fence. When the engine roars to life, the man with the scar watches you with a look that isn't quite trust, but it's close. He doesn't give you gold. He gives you a blindfold. Get in the back, he says. The Emir has many trucks. The drive lasts 10 hours. You're tossed around in the back of the truck, smelling the hot metal and the crates of ammunition beneath you. When the blindfold comes off, you aren't in a camp. You're in a city of shadows. The trees of the Sambisa forest are so thick they blot out the sun. There are hundreds of them. Young boys carrying rifles too heavy for their shoulders. Men who look like they haven't slept in years. And then there is the normalcy that breaks your heart. You see a woman hanging laundry between 2 technicals. You see a group of men sitting in a circle, laughing at a joke while they sharpen bayonets. Your workshop is a clearing under a giant neem tree. There are 20 trucks lined up, all of them broken. This is your kingdom. For the first month, you are nothing but a tool. You work 16 hours a day. You become indispensable. You learn the sounds of the camp, the 4 a.m. prayers, the 6 p.m. radio checks, the sound of the Emir's private technical approaching. You learn to keep your reports short. You learn to never look the prisoners in the eye when they are led past your clearing. If you look at them, you become human. If you are human, you are dead. Your FBI-trained handler in Abuja expected a report every week via the transmitter hidden in your heavy-duty wrench. But in the forest, the canopy is so thick the signal can't find the sky. You are alone. You start to lose the you. You wake up as Musa. You think as Musa. One evening, the Emir sits with you while you're cleaning a carburetor. He tells you about his vision, a world purified of the corruption you both hate. He speaks with such conviction, such a terrifying sense of justice, that for a split second you find yourself nodding. He claps you on the shoulder. You are a good man, Musa. You see the truth. That night, you sit in your tent and stare at your hands. They are covered in the same oil as the men who burnt the school down the road 3 days ago. You realize that the mission isn't just about survival. It's about not drowning in the darkness you've jumped into. The third month brings the test. A man is brought to the center of the camp. He's been accused of being a spy. You have to watch. They don't just end him. They make it a spectacle. The emir looks at you during the process, studying your face for a flinch, a tear, anything that says you aren't one of them. You keep your face as cold as the steel of your wrench. You watch a man die and you feel nothing, because if you feel something, you're next. The next morning, the emir calls you. Musa, we are planning a great work. A raid on the southern garrison. We need the lead technical to be silent. No backfires, no stalls. You know this garrison. It's where the young recruits are stationed, boys who are barely out of basic training. If this raid happens, it's a massacre. You go to work on the lead truck. You have the chance to sabotage it. A handful of sugar in the tank, a sliced belt, a loosened bolt on the steering column. But you know their mechanics. If the truck fails at the wrong time, they'll trace it back to you. You spend 3 days under that truck, your mind a battlefield. You're trying to calculate the math of death. How many lives is your cover worth? If you die now, the intelligence you've gathered on their supply lines dies with you. If you let the raid happen, you're a murderer. The raid Friday night, 11 p.m. The convoy is ready. You are the driver of the lead vehicle. The emir sits beside you, his rifle resting between his knees. As you drive through the tall grass, the moon is the only light. You have a choice. There is a military checkpoint 3 miles ahead. If you blink your lights in the specific code you were taught, the hidden snipers will open fire. You approach the coordinate. You look at the emir. He's humming a soft tune, looking out at the darkness. You think about the you that used to exist. You think about your real sister, your real home. You reach for the light switch. Your finger trembles. Suddenly, a flare goes up, but not from the military. It's from the camp behind you. A drone has been spotted. The convoy descends into chaos. Go! Go! The emir screams, pointing his rifle at the road ahead. You floor the accelerator. You aren't driving toward the garrison anymore. You're driving into a firestorm. The military has finally found the sector shadow. The next 20 minutes are a blur of tracer fire and screaming engines. A technical behind you explodes in a ball of orange flame. You yank the steering wheel, diving the truck into a ravine to avoid a missile lock. The truck rolls. Metal groans. The world spins until it stops with a bone-jarring thud. You crawl out of the broken windshield, blood dripping into your eyes. The emir is pinned under the steering column. He's alive, gasping, looking at you for help. "Brother," he whispers, reaching out a hand. You look at him. You look at the silver pocket knife that peeled the orange. You don't take his hand. You take your wrench. By the time the Nigerian Special Forces find the wreckage, you're sitting 30 yards away, wrapped in a shock blanket you found in the back. They don't recognize you. They treat you like a prisoner. They throw you into the back of a truck with zip ties on your wrists. You don't tell them who you are. You wait for the handler. 4 months later, you're in a coastal city, far from the forest. The beard is gone. The kaftan is replaced by a crisp shirt. The emir is in a cell that will never see the sun again. The mission was a total success. But you don't feel like a hero. You sit at a cafe and you order a coffee. The waitress smiles at you. You find yourself checking the exits. You find yourself looking at the men in the corner, wondering if their chairs are angled toward the door. You realize that Musa didn't die in the forest. Musa is the one sitting in the chair. The real you, the person who walked into that basement in Abuja, is gone. You'll never know if you were going to blink those lights at the checkpoint. You'll never know